What it do, what it does. Another day, another leak. So, the closer we're getting to the Starfield release, every day now we're getting another guy that's leaking a bunch of stuff. So these guys that I'm going to tell you about, they have all been banned at this point. Their content has been taken down. Okay, so I'm scared to even show a little screenshot in this video, but maybe I'll slide one in there. Bethesda can see if they can, find it and then try to ban me. I didn't even sign an NDA or whatever, so it should be, you should be able to upload this stuff, but apparently Bethesda doesn't like it. So these leaks, they basically leaked like the first 15 hours of the game, a bunch of flying around, a bunch of important information about the game we didn't have earlier, how it works, how stuff actually works, who you are, what the story is, stuff like that. So strap in for some mighty information, fellas. So first of all, the guy starts his thread by answering questions that were given to him by his audience. And they ask questions like, does your inventory have miscellaneous and quest items? Yes, there are miscellaneous items. Second of all, are there logs like the holotapes in Fallout 3? Not that I assume, yet there aren't other computer terminals. This means there are no computer terminals in the game, which is kind of crazy if you look at like how Fallout used to use them. There are also no pads to pick up, and there's barely any voice, like audio voicemails that you can find in the game so far, which is also quite surprising. If you look at Fallout and stuff, there was a lot of interactive shit you could pick up, but this time around, apparently he hasn't found any in 15 hours. That's quite a lot. Depending on weapons, are there any unique or rare weapons? Yes, there are unique and rare weapons. Or like more like there are rare weapons, but he doesn't know if there are like real unique weapons that are like one-time weapons that you won't find anywhere else. But he found some rares, and his highest rarity that he found is purple. So maybe there will be legendaries which basically would work like uniques. How is the lore and the world building? Well, there are dungeons, and so far the world building feels really disconnected. As every area you enter is sort of this little dungeon, and he think it's mainly because he's been focusing on exploration and less on actually going around and questing and interacting with these NPCs. And yeah, so far everything that he ran into has been unique though. But he's only done 3 sort of dungeons. He found a cave on Earth that held resources, but it was too barren other than the resources. So he's not really sure about the dungeons. We still don't really know how much stuff there is. So yeah. Next, he's going to the NPC related questions, and he's written a lot of stuff down here. So first of all, he hasn't followed the NPCs to see if they have a place to sleep. Like back in, I think Skyrim even did this, where like the NPCs, they would like go about their day. If you had a miner, he would like go and mine, and then like back in the day, he would go back to bed and like sleep. He didn't follow any, so we don't know if this is in the game, but I'm sure it is. It must be. He said there's a lot of people on the street at night, which is something that wasn't present in Skyrim or Fallout. So that's an improvement. So not all of them have dialogue trees though. So what he's saying is their uniqueness is not like Skyrim. Like you don't have dialogue trees with the NPC related missions. So yeah. He's not sure about the NPCs. He doesn't know if they have a day and night cycle. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't seem to have it at all. They're just standing at one spot. And his biggest point of contention is that they really do feel a little bit plastic. The NPCs, compared to Red Dead Redemption, they are like not even making eye contact with your character. They're like looking next to your character, which is like kind of off-putting to him. And he hasn't run into any situation where his background has affected the conversation. But he hasn't done a lot of quests, so maybe it would still matter. But like he hasn't found anything that, depending on what your background is, would like give you an advantage or a disadvantage. But he has 15 hours in, and so far he hasn't found anything. There's one character that's called Sarah. She's like the first character you meet, and he personally doesn't like her. Um, Not at all. He's not the kind of person who plays like an evil sadist, but he also doesn't do things that make no logical sense because they're the right thing to do. So yeah. But there's also not anyone that he ran into that he really does not like. For example, there's one character that's called he's called Vasco, and he has like really huge and has like laser barrels. He has like robot feet, so hard to imagine what that fella looks like. That's like all he's written to the NPC related questions. He then goes into the writing part of it. He's saying the quality of the writing is all right so far. It's literally in thick all right so far. He's comparing it to Baldur's Gate 3 and is saying it's not even close. The RPG mechanics, depending on how deep you roleplay, using your imagination is better than anything a developer can give you. But with that said, so far from his initial experience, the RPG mechanics are not deeper than Skyrim or Fallout in any way when it comes to speaking to people and the choices. But keep in mind that this is a guy who's only 15 hours in. Then he goes into explaining melee a bit, that he's seen daggers, axes, and combat knives, and that the melee itself doesn't feel super good. Also not bad. But he's saying that it's not really the better option compared to shooting, and that third person is way better than first person. First person apparently feels a little stiff. And yeah, he met some enemies which were super spongy. He had to shoot them a lot. And he would say that the gunplay isn't any better or any worse than Fallout. And he like gets back to it because he did a little edit, because apparently people were really asking that in the comment section. And really, he says, really, you are saying the gunplay is on par with Fallout 4, not better. This is going to be controversial. I thought enemy AI had improved significantly from the direct and videos. It seems like gun animations feel much better, but he does not think that it improved at all. He thinks that in first person it gets a little better. Using the jump jet's a lot of fun, but yeah, he does not think any better. The gun animations feel better. The AI is okay. They hide behind things, but it's not really complex. And it's better. The AI is better than Fallout, but like the gunplay, it doesn't feel special. It feels like what we used to back on the PlayStation 4, and that's like a disappointment considering they worked on this title for like 8 years or some shit. So yeah, he's saying the gunplay sometimes feels a bit clunky, especially in first person. That's why he's sticking to third person. So what we can tell from this is that this is definitely a Bethesda game. It got a lot of rough edges. Let's put it like this. There's a lot of exploration, and the game is pretty fucking massive. You can run like for 45 minutes. But here we come to the most egregious part about this game. Like, they've been going crazy about it, right? Bethesda said that, oh my god, you can land on a planet, walk over the planet from like one end to the other end, swim through oceans, and well, guys, apparently you cannot walk from one part of the planet to the other part of the planet. You pick a point where you land in game, and then like the game sort of generates stuff for you to walk on and to interact with and do. And it's like the distance or like the size of the map is like a 45-minute walk distance, right? That's like the size that these maps have. So it's not an indefinite sort of, you can walk forever and at some point reach the point that you started walking at. It's just a small little generated point. And like, really, they've been lying about like how big these planets really are, because they are not as big as they said. A lot of people really hate that. Also, you cannot go to space. Like you cannot jump into a spaceship and then fly into space and then fly back in and like land wherever you want. So basically, how that works is you pick a destination you want to drop in, and then you get a cutscene of how your character actually lands there, but it's not you playing the game. You're not personally flying the spaceship, landing it, and then getting out of it. It's just a cutscene, and that's all there is to it. So that's definitely confirmed now. It's confirmed that the planets are smaller, and it's also confirmed that you can only have on each planet 5 landing spots at the same time. So, for example, if I land at Mars and I pick 5 destinations that I want to land at, after the 5th one, I have to delete one of the landing destinations I was at and basically create a new one. So it's really not as, it's not the space idea or like this space tree in Bethesda been selling us. It sounds like there's some things missing in this sort of space epos that we're getting. The guy's still saying that he's having a lot of fun, that he's just an average guy at gaming, so his opinion might not be everybody's opinions, but he's saying that he's having fun with the game and that he even loves this game, and he's personally just ignoring the flaws, and what he's saying is the bullshit marketing. He's saying they were definitely lying with some of the things they said were going to be in the game that are not in the game the way they said they were, or are different than from what they said it will be. For example, you can't even swim. Yeah, guys, you can't fucking swim in this game, which is kind of crazy. Like, you have a lot of planets that are just water, and you can't swim. That is just kind of a bummer. But the dude is saying he's having a lot of fun. He's not really going into the story because he's saying, oh, I want you guys to experience it for yourself. But he's saying the story opens up quite a bit and that he's enjoying it a lot. So really, what can a man take away from this? Really, you can just take away from this that there's probably going to be some disappointments in this one, right? Like the idea that we had, or the game that we already have with No Man's Sky, where you can do this, where you can jump into a spaceship, go to space, shoot some guys, and then like land on a random other planet, and then deforest an area. That's not really possible to the same extent in Starfield. It more seems like a bunch of maps cluttered together with this idea of, okay, we're going to space. It seems like it's a Fallout 4 set in space. And depending on the writing, I'm all in for it. You know, if the game, if the dialogue is cringe and like funny enough, it's going to be lit, okay? But if the dialogue isn't cringe and like too serious, like the way Fallout always is, like way too cringe in its dialogue, the way it's delivered, I think it's going to be a fun game. I'm just sort of sad that these are the things that are not in the game, because I feel like a lot of people were really hyped for this. A lot of people were really hyped to just hop into a spaceship and then like land wherever, build a base, walk all day from one point of the planet to another one. But we are getting none of that, guys, okay? There is none of that in game. So you should know it. You should know that this is a Fallout in space, basically a big-ass DLC with the same engine, the same sort of gunplay, just a different story, different characters, a different universe, right? The guy is saying that he loves this game, though. The guy is saying that it is a good game, but he's saying that there's things in there that a lot of people are going to be disappointed by. So you can hit me up, let me know if you are okay with the changes they made, or if you're saying, wow, this close to release, we are now finding out that like half the things they promised aren't even in the game. I'm not even hyped anymore. Just let me know what your opinion is on this one, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.